of shadows.
Hi my angels, it's Hailey Reese, and today's video is one that I wasn't sure I was going to make for numerous reasons, which you will get into shortly, but it's basically what I presume to be a follow-up to my video talking about I received a call from my stalker. A lot has happened since then. Things have happened that I'm not sure are related to or in correlation to that event. But I felt like since so many of you guys have been asking me and sending me well wishes since I made that video, I would let you guys know everything that's transpired since then that has been so uncomfortable for me and incredibly unsettling, and ask your guys' opinion on it. Now, I do want to make a very brief disclaimer letting you guys know that I have taken all the proper precautions on my end. I have taken all of your advice. So many of you have been so kind in telling me who to contact and, reports to make an XYZ what to do in this situation, and I appreciate you all more than you will ever know. I am so grateful to all of you who have given me advice or just sent me positive vibes. I love you, I appreciate you, and I am doing well and I am staying safe. But with all that being said, really odd things have been happening around my house, and it almost seems too much to be a coincidence. It's very uncomfortable, it's very unsettling, and at this point, I'm fairly certain that somebody must be messing with me because this is just too much. Now, if you haven't seen my previous video, I will have it linked down below for you guys to watch it. Basically, I received a call from somebody claiming to be from Domino's Pizza who knew my previous address, knew my name, and wanted my new address to send me free coupons for being a loyal customer. Now, I have verbally said online that one of my favorite places to get pizza from is Domino's Pizza. And when my mom called all the different Domino's locations, they weren't doing that promotion, and we never figured out who on earth that person was. Now, moving on from that, I was very uncomfortable. I was very unsettled, and it wasn't sitting well with me, mostly because one of my biggest fears from moving from a condo to a house was the security aspect. Now, I have a top-notch security system. I have cameras surrounding my entire house, and in that aspect and in that sense, I felt very safe. But the one thing that made me nervous was being anybody who puts my life out there. I was uncomfortable with the fact that somebody who may not like me, may not like my channel, may have ill intentions, would find out where I live and mess with me, or worse. The one good thing about living in a condo that gave me a lot of peace of mind at night was the fact that even if somebody knew which building I lived in, the chances of them knowing which unit I was in was very slim. And I also took comfort in knowing that there was cameras all throughout the building, that it was key fob entry, and that just really made me feel a lot more safe. So it was already a new adventure for me moving into a home where obviously there's no key fob entry. There is a security system, but there's no key fob entry. And if somebody realizes which home I'm going into day after day, they know where I live. So that was a little bit scary to me. Following that video that I made, I started receiving calls from unknown numbers. And initially I decided to ignore those ignore those calls because it just didn't feel right. And honestly, anybody who would be calling me with something important to say wouldn't be calling from an anonymous number, so I chose to ignore them. But eventually, I finally decided to answer the phone and listen with it on speaker so that Tyler and I could hear who it was. And upon answering the phone, there was no answer. Nobody was speaking. Nobody said anything. There was no static. It was literally as though somebody answered the phone and was holding it and was saying absolutely nothing. So I very quickly hung up because one of the things that a bunch of you told me was, and it's something that I've known ever since watching When a Stranger Calls, is that if you stay on the phone long enough with somebody, they could be able to track your location. So I hung up the phone pretty well immediately. And around this time, I started feeling just uncomfortable in general. My dogs were barking more often, which is nothing to be alarmed by in hindsight, because now that the weather's getting nicer, there's so many kids playing outside. People are outside all the time. Obviously, my dogs aren't used to that, so they've been barking more often, but that was just making me uncomfortable, and I kind of felt like I was on edge. But eventually I started to feel like I was just paranoid, that this was just an off situation, an odd situation, and that I was just overreacting and overthinking, and just that I needed to relax a little bit, trust in my security system, trust in my cameras, trust in my good neighbors, and just know that I was going to be okay. And that was until one really, really odd night. So we're sitting in the kitchen, and I actually have a monitor for my security system in my kitchen. It's also hooked up to my phones and like a bunch of other devices. But specifically, I have a huge monitor in my kitchen and like living room area that we're able to see if anybody comes to the door, if I receive a package, XYZ. It lights up if there's any sort of motion on my property. On this particular evening, we just returned home about an hour prior to looking over at the cameras, and Tyler automatically goes, "What is that?" And he gets up close to it and he's looking at what it is. And basically, for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, we set up our whole balcony or front porch, with a table and a couch and privacy things. And on that table, it looked as though there was a bag blowing in the wind. I'll insert that security footage from that day here. So we could see what looked like a bag blowing in the wind, and Tyler's like, "What on earth is that?" So we immediately go to the front door. We open up the front door, and there's a big bag of Popeyes chicken, like a huge bag of family like size meal of Popeyes chicken. And it was so random. We're looking around, we're like, "What? When did this get here? Like, what on earth? Like, this is so odd." So what's really weird about this, and I don't know if it's related, was that over the last couple of months, for some reason, whenever anybody would talk about chicken, I would say that prior to me really not eating a ton of meat, I'd never tried Popeyes chicken. I think back in the day I tried Popeyes shrimp, but I never tried Popeyes chicken. And I talked about that. So it was very odd that like this giant bag of Popeyes food, it was like biscuits, chicken, and french fries, all on my front doorstep. So we went and checked the cameras, and we were actually able to see that before we'd returned home, a man in a mask had dropped off a big bag of Popeyes chicken and set it on the table. And I'm not going to insert that footage just for reasons like what I've been advised to do, but I'm not going to insert that particular footage. But we were able to see that it was a man who had dropped it off, but he was wearing a mask, and we were unable to identify specific features about him. He had a hood and a mask. His eyes were revealed, but he was looking down a lot to drop the chicken and then leave. So that was what we gathered. And the one thing that I really noticed right away that didn't sit well with me was the fact that I order a lot. Well, not anymore, not since COVID, but prior to COVID, I'd ordered a lot from Skip the Dishes. And anytime that they'd arrive to drop something off, they'd had like a big kind of like basket bag, kind of like a freezer bag. I don't know how to explain it, like a cube bag that says Skip the Dishes on it in red. And this individual just like dropped the bag of food on the doorstep. So that was kind of odd to me. I kind of chalked it up to the fact that maybe it was a wrong delivery, that because places are doing contactless deliveries, that this was a contactless delivery delivered to the wrong house. Obviously, we didn't eat the food because we wanted to stay safe and we weren't aware of who dropped it off, but just the timing of that was really odd to me. And number one, I felt really bad that food was going to be put to waste if it was a family's dinner. Number two, I felt bad that I didn't eat it and that I threw it out, but I talked to my family and they were like, "You don't know who dropped that off. You don't know who that man is. Like, just don't eat it." And number three, it just seemed really odd that this was all happening in such a short span. The call from a different like fast food place, and then me receiving unknown number calls where when I would answer finally, nobody spoke. My dog's acting weird, which I totally think could be because all the neighborhood people are out now. I did move here in the winter, and then randomly receiving a whole bag of food on my doorstep. So for a couple of days, we thought that was really odd. We thought it was really weird, but we didn't like take any more steps. We did like document that it had happened and the date and the time, and we saved that footage from my cameras. Not just the footage that I showed you guys earlier of the bag, but we saved the footage of the individual with the hood and the face mask. And then a couple of days later, things got like even weirder, you guys. And this is where I really like can't fathom what on earth has been going on. So a couple of days later, Tyler and I go to sit outside. We actually just purchased, if you watch him on his channel and you saw his vlog, LED lights for the outside of the house. And so we just purchased those. We had poured a glass of wine. We were heading out to the front porch with the dogs, because I'd also just gotten the dogs like a gate to go across so we could all sit there and they wouldn't be able to escape the front porch. And we were gonna relax and have a glass of wine and just reflect on our day, and just hang out. And that was when, on that exact same table, in like pretty much the exact same spot as the chicken, I find this. And it's this like baby head in kind of what looks like it could be, if you guys see me looking, I have a monitor here I'm looking at to see if you can see it well. Black mirror looking thing. I'll actually insert a clip of this closer up. But it was literally just like sitting on the table in the exact same spot that the chicken was. And right away, I just got a horrible feeling. I mean, it almost looks like it could be like a necklace, like you could make it into a necklace. And honestly, it's quite well done, but what is that? When you're not expecting to find this, I don't know. This was just like really, really weird to me. And it almost felt on brand with my content, which, it being in the same spot as that chicken was just like a couple of days prior, made me think that whoever might have left that there, and by the way, you guys, this is all alleged, that these could all be isolated incidents that have nothing to do with one another, but it was just really odd that this was found on that exact same table. And unlike the first time, this time when we went through our security footage, we were unable to pinpoint a moment that this was actually dropped on the table. So yeah, I don't know when this went there, but yeah, I don't know. It almost looks like it could be a black mirror. And what's really actually creepy about this, you guys, is I did a video on a haunted mirror back when I still lived in my room with the Tiffany blue wall, prior to my condos, like back when I still lived at home. And the black mirror, or the mirror that I used for that video, I don't know if it was a black mirror, looks like shockingly similar to this. I'll actually insert a picture here for you guys so you can see the comparison, but besides the face, it's very similar to this. So that was left on the doorstep, and we went through the footage, but we weren't able to pinpoint a moment in time where this was dropped on the front porch or dropped on the table. And yeah, I don't know. It's just really weird. And then the final thing that happened as of lately that is very uncomfortable to me is, all of a sudden my mom, to her house, received anonymous flowers, like this big bouquet of anonymous flowers. And she asked everybody in her life where they came from. She even called the like florist company that they came from, and they said it was from a what's the word they used, a not secret admirer, but something to that nature. So I'm starting to wonder if somebody that I know, or someone who might not like me, is messing with me, or someone maybe in my neighborhood knows that I live here now and is trying to give me content or to see like what I'll do with it. I don't know. But that's the update, you guys. I want to just let you guys know that I have taken every precaution that you guys have told me. I'm not specifying the precautions I've taken just in case this individual is watching, but I've taken every precaution. I don't feel unsafe in my home. I've upped my security. I haven't had anything as of lately since these isolated incidences that have happened, or that has happened. Nothing else has been dropped on my doorstep or anything of that nature. But yeah, you guys have been asking for an update. Initially, I wasn't sure that I was going to make one, solely because I didn't want to add like gasoline to the fire if it is somebody watching my videos. But I do want to say that I've taken every step to stay as safe as possible. I super appreciate each and every one of you who's reached out, who's sent me DMs or tweets or commented on my videos, giving me advice or just telling me to stay safe. I appreciate you guys. And that is basically my update as of lately as to the weird things that have happened since that phone call. Like I said earlier, my disclaimer, these could all be just like very strange things that have happened. and they could have nothing to do with one another. That could have been a random mishap in food delivery. The call could have been, I don't know, a random call, a phone scam, so to speak. And the flowers to my mom could be someone who has a crush on her, someone who appreciates her, someone who wanted to give her something as a pleasant surprise. But this is what really just like, oops, it's upside down, doesn't sit well with me. So that's my update. I hope that is the final update I'll be making on this, but I wanted to update you guys nonetheless. I would really appreciate any of your thoughts or comments down below. For those of you who are going to tell me to get into contact with people who can help me, I have done so. So you don't need to worry about that, but if you have any theories, I would love to hear them down below. And that is it for today's video. If you guys are new to my channel or you are just not subscribed, but you do enjoy my videos, I don't normally make videos of this nature. So I'd really enjoy it if you click that subscribe button and join our family. And yeah, remember my loves, do all things with kindness. And until next time, I love you guys.